Hi. How's it going, everybody? Are we live?
You're live.
We're
You're
live.
live, John.
Welcome, everybody.
Live.
Here we go. So welcome to our daily success call for Thursday, the 23rd of April,
Hello.
2020. Hooray. Let me go ahead and get everybody on screen. Let me just make sure that this computer thing is working. All right, here we go. Get everybody on screen. You can say hi to my friends. Here are my friends. Hello, everybody. And
Hello,
here's what, 20 or so that can fit on the screen. Hello, Evelyn. Good to see you. Carolyn, Nida. There she is. Sylvia. Ace. I see Ace. There he is. Good to see you, brother. John Hyder. Always a pleasure, my friend. I don't see Tolu's hat. Her camera's off. Usually
Here.
Tolu's hat.
Right. All right. Jason's here. Hey, Jason.
Sorry.
All right. There she is. There's Tolu's hat. All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. All right.
She's got the giggles.
And we're going to mute out and we're good to go. Everybody see Tolu's hat and her headset. We got a hat and we got a little headset. So welcome, everyone. Glad you're here. The conversation, the meeting before the meeting, if you will, was focused on, I think, some relevant stuff, which has nothing to do with being an online, business person in Amazon, and yet has everything to do with it. And so we'll start with a really cheerful topic, which is online scams. When we just before we went live, for those of you who are tuning into the recording on YouTube, Susie and Esther and several others were citing examples of probable scams. Right. So we want to make sure that, since a lot of people here are new to the whole world of online business, that you're not being gullible and such. So why don't we have Susie come out here first, because you had one that actually was branded Amazon, and you can tell us what you saw and how you discovered that it was not legitimate. Susie, if you would unmute your
microphone. First of all, I want to apologize because for some reason my internet, it says it's unstable. So if you can't hear me, please let me know. But I was just saying that lately I've gotten an influx of emails that look a lot like Prime membership origin, saying my Prime membership is overdue and I need to address it. And so I went right back into my own account to see that it's not up until May. So I looked back and I looked at some of the things that make it suspicious. And one glaring example is the way words are spelled. Like, as I gave an example, authorize is spelled with a Z in the US, not with an S. And so it's those little things that make a difference. Did you hear me?
Yes, very good, Susie. You also discovered something fishy about the email address that it originated from. What was that?
It's long and drawn out. It may contain like foreign names, foreign sounding names, a lot of jumbled letters, something that doesn't look legitimate. I mean, I guess maybe I'm becoming painfully aware of what to look for. And if it looks foreign to me, then it's suspicious. That's all.
Very good. So
someone pointed out in the chat that if it doesn't have an S at the end of the HTTP, right at the beginning, to be wary of it, because the S means that it's a secured and verified site.
Interesting. That's good to know.
Okay, that's one factor. Okay, but that's more of a phishing factor. So so anybody could get an SSL, secure socket layer certificate, on a website, legitimate or not. Okay, so understand that. And a website could be leaky if it's not secured with an SSL. So I want to go ahead and address this one thing that Heather brought up. Okay, so let's say you're putting your credit card on a site. Oh, it damn well better have the S. It better be secure. Okay. Are all informational sites secure? No, not necessarily. It doesn't mean they're scammed. They're not also asking you for your credit card information, though. So that's one thing to know, is whenever you're delivering data over the internet, you want to see a secure socket layer. Okay. You can also see, depending on what browser you're using, the certificate will be displayed in the address bar. You can click on the little lock icon or whatever. And you can see that the certificate is valid. Okay. Now it could be a valid certificate on a scam website. Okay. So let's go back to the original point. Here's the email. The email originated ostensibly from Amazon. I mean, after all, there's the Amazon logo, which is what? A piece of art. I could grab the Amazon logo right now and put it on anything. Okay. That doesn't make it legit. Okay. But what we noticed is a few misspellings, usually grammatical errors. Amazon's a multi-billion-dollar company. They have copywriters that know how to spell words and stuff, right? And how to make sentences. So there's one indicator. The other indicator is exactly what Susie just mentioned, is she looked at the email address. Now the email, the from line in the email may say, Amazon accounts payable or whatever it says, okay? But again, anybody could say, I'm Amazon accounts payable or receivable or accounting, okay? But when you click on the actual address, I want the full display of the address, and it does not come from amazon.com/accounts or accounts.amazon.com. Only Amazon owns that URL, that domain. Okay. So anything else besides from amazon.com, another one you'll see commonly is PayPal, right? So this is PayPal. It's coming from PayPal. No, it isn't. You click to look at the actual email address and it's BS, something, PayPal. PayPal had nothing to do with that. Okay. At uselessdomain.com. So here's what scammers do. They'll go and they'll register domains, okay, which anybody could do. You could show up at GoDaddy or Namecheap or whatever. You can register a domain, which is going to be blacklisted and shut down next week. But for the purpose of getting those emails out, here's a junk domain, and then you can call it whatever you want, okay? You just can't call it Amazon.com. You just can't call it PayPal, right? So always look at the actual origin of the address, okay? The other thing you could do, I know PayPal has done this very well. They've got an email address called spoof@paypal.com. That's the email address they set up for you to go ahead and forward those scam emails to PayPal. Does Amazon have something like that? Maybe. I don't know, but they would probably like to collect, those things and let people know that like this is illegitimate, right? The faster they can get the Federal Trade Commission to shut those people down, the better. Unfortunately, there seems to be an unlimited number of those people in the world, and much of it does not originate domestically, right? So they could be from anywhere. Susie?
I just want to say, you bring up PayPal, and I fell for a scam, what I thought was PayPal, because I thought, all right, that's, I can't go wrong going through PayPal. I bought a vacuum cleaner online, and for some reason I didn't recognize any little glitch in what I was doing. They did a great job simulating the real thing. I sent my money in, never got a thing. I did go back to PayPal and say, there's somebody mimicking you. They said, it took a month or two to look into the whole situation, and PayPal refunded my money for me. And I submitted the account that I gave the money to. And what was interesting is PayPal didn't seem too concerned. I said, this person must be online doing this to a lot of people. And it must happen all the time, because they didn't seem terribly concerned, but I did get my money back from PayPal, even though it took 2 months. So anyway, PayPal.
Well, they never received your money. That was very generous of them.
It
had
was
nothing to do with that deal, but they were just giving you a
right.
gift, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not fazed by it because it's all day, every day. All day, every day. That's all.
They're very good. They're very
staff.
good about doing, they treat every one of those very seriously, and they're very good about refunding people's money who've been taken in by it. And then they do the research on their end to shut them down.
So they've got enough profitability padded in. PayPal makes a lot of money. Okay. So they can go ahead and service a customer like yourself to help you maintain your faith in the PayPal platform, even though they had literally nothing to do with whatever you just bought. Okay. So in this case, that was very generous and nice, but now right? You click on that from line and you look at what the email address actually is. Okay. I will tell you that the other example that just came up was Esther talking about taxation and IRS and whatever. The IRS is not asking anybody for money right now, right? They're sending out money. In fact, if you go to irs.gov/coronavirus, if you're here in the United States, okay, they actually have a write-up there about fraud and scammers, right? Which is rampant, right? Now, suddenly there's 10 million people who are IRS agents, and they need to go ahead and collect, small sums of money from you and collect your social security number and all your information to make sure that you get your relief package or something. So, I mean, it is bizarre, and people fall for it. Esther, did you want to cite an example? I know you had an exhibit that you held up, and I see we got hands up, but I want to make sure we get the core of the topic handled here first. Esther, please.
Hi, John. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, after I filled out my LLC from the America Corporate Services, I got this letter last week in the mail that it's called a 2020 Certificate of Good Standing Request Form. And we were just kind of wondering if we really needed that. So my husband's like, oh, don't worry about it. But then last night I shared it with some of the people online yesterday while we were chit-chatting, and then one guy looked it up while we were talking about it, and he said, yeah, you would probably need that. It's just something to references you to, for other business to look on it and say, yes, you have an LLC and stuff. But then last night I was talking to my husband again, and I said, do you really think I need it? I probably need it. I probably should just fill it out. And then my gut was not like wanting to say, yes, send it out. So I looked it up again online, and they said that there's different companies sending out this this form that says, I don't know if you can read that, but this picture right here is not of our Ohio state thing. So it's a scam, and they actually said they wanted like $67.50. So this is definitely a scam. If you're in Ohio, do not pay it, because it's not the logo that's supposed to be on it. The logo is totally different.
Very good. Thank you, Esther. And that's one exhibit, and they come in all flavors, right? So in your case, you dealt with or are dealing with Prime Corporate Services, right?
Yeah, and they said they would take care of everything. So
right. So then Prime Corporate Services, I would give them a call and say, you guys check this out, right? So this way they're aware of that as well.
Okay.
There is such a thing as a certificate of good standing with the state of Ohio or whatever state you're in. That does exist. Okay, but that is something that they have filed for you if you use a third-party service. Otherwise, you're dealing with the Secretary of State, and it's very, very well known. Here's the documents, and you're dealing directly with them. That's not something they request. That's something you request. I need a certificate of good standing. Here's my fee. Please give me one, right? Something like that. All right, good. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, John.
And it looked really official. That was a nice looking document. Well done.
Yeah.
What we're talking about, guys, is graphic design. That's it. Anybody with like mild graphic design skills can make this stuff, right? Unfortunately, the criminal mind exists, and what are we going to do about that, right? It's planet Earth. So, and that's why it's good for you to protect yourself and to be aware of these things, which, while it's not a thrilling topic, I think it's a necessary one for this morning. I've got other lofty topics I'd love to introduce, but right now we've got some hands up. So I'm going to go ahead and yield the floor to Richard. Richard, come on out.
Hi, good morning. Real quick, just to add on to what Esther was just talking about, when I set up my LLC with PCS, they did warn me that there are people out there pulling that information down and sending out just the type of thing that Esther received. And they said one tip off is that if it's not from the state, a lot of these outfits are asking for fees. If it's not from the state, then it'll have to, by law, have a third-party disclosure notice at the bottom or somewhere on the form in order for them not to run afoul of the law. So that's another tip-off.
Well, we got people running quite afoul of the law, So thank you, Richard. That is true. I have seen it where it says in fine print, this is an advertisement, this is not an official document. Like down at the bottom somewhere, you could find that stuff sometimes, and sometimes it's just straight up crime. And also, I've seen this with domain registrations. I don't know, Richard, if you register domains if you own any domains, but I've gotten so many, your domain is about to expire. Right now, I know my registrar. I've got GoDaddy on speed dial. I know all my domains when they expire on auto renew, and I get these emails typically from China, right, asking me for like $150 or something to renew my domain, which it is one of my domains, but and it's all very fear-based, and oh my goodness, you don't want this domain to expire, send us the $150. And it's not $150, it's like $10 a year, and it's already paid for at GoDaddy. So people just got to be aware of this stuff. I think that would be kind of like a low intelligence way of trying to scam people, because I mean, anybody who knows how to register a domain also knows where it's registered. So so there's that. Any other, we had Leah and Stuart with their hand up. Leah and Stuart, please.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, I was going to add to that too. And John, I thought that was really good that you mentioned about the website, because a lot of people are registering domains for their businesses. A lot of times you'll get phony requests for either domain renewals, domain protection, all that kind of stuff. You have to be really vigilant and read a lot. Often at the very bottom, there's a thing that says, this is an offer, we're asking you for money or whatever it is. The other thing I wanted to mention, because I guess really the deal is anytime you register anything that has a public registration, whether it's a domain or a business name or whatever it is, that information is made available to anybody that wants to try and get money from you for anything. So the other thing that I think is pertinent is when you guys get into like trademarking, the same thing happens where you'll get letters from what looks like the US Patent and Trademark Office, but it'll be a scam, and they'll be looking, renew your thing, protect your thing. So you just have to be really vigilant, because it happened to us just the other day with a trademark thing.
Very good. Thank you, Stuart and Leah. Awesome. iPad has their hand raised. Who's iPad?
Hey, that's me, Julia.
Hey,
My computer
Julia.
died. Sorry, so I'm trying to do this on an iPad today. So two other things to be aware of. One that my son, who's a computer database guy, said to do is hover over any link before you click anything. And then you can see at the bottom left of your screen, you'll usually see the entire URL. And you can see if they're spoofing. If it doesn't go directly to where you think it's supposed to go, don't go there. So if it's not Amazon.com, for example. And then the other thing to be aware of that I've been told is when you mistype, like if you were, this is just an example I'm making up, but let's say that you mistype PayPal as pay PLA, some spoofer may have that. Or if you do .co instead of .com, there are legitimate .co addresses or domains. But if you type in something you think you're going to and it's .co instead of .com, it could be a spoofed site as well. So always be really careful about what you type in the bar.
Very good. Thank you, Julia.
bet.
Did you guys know that if you hover over a link on your browser, it should reveal the entirety of the link, even if it's just a button that says click here, right? Well, where am I actually clicking? You can see if you just hover over it, it should display the full destination. Okay.
Yes, this is Bernadette, and I agree. I've worked in IT for 30 plus years. Yes, that's correct.
Bernadette, any tips from the IT world?
No, everything you guys were discussing is correct. Like we just said, hovering over the link. You discussed the secure socket, the HTTPS. The one other comment, I used to consult for the IRS. The IRS does not email or call you. So just ignore anything you get from the IRS via mail or a phone call, because that's a scam. That's just like the one rule, that they have. But I think,
Right.
yeah, you covered a lot. Yeah.
Thank you, Bernadette. All right. Anybody else on these topics of scam avoidance tactics? We're all good. Everybody's good. Okay. My goodness, we're already 20 minutes in. All right. Well, I just had a couple ideas on my mind this morning that I think will brighten your day or give you some additional perspective. And some of you have been involved in trading, like options or futures trading, day trading, and stuff like this, which is a completely different world from where we're at here. It's a pretty intense one. And I know a lot of times people, as you enter this world of e-commerce and online business, it also seems pretty intense. I mean, after all, there's billions of dollars, changing hands daily. You want in on the action. At the same time, you don't want to make mistakes. And with that comes, in my experience, a good amount of sometimes overanalysis, perfectionism. We've discussed this before, right? We got to get stuff done. You can scale up what works. You can remove what doesn't work. Okay, but something's got to be done for us to be able to assess and optimize. But often there's a lot of attachment to that. I dare not make a mistake. Has anybody experienced that, where you're experiencing, trepidation of making a mistake because this is like your one shot at, getting it right and surviving or whatever. Okay, that's a really rough spot to be in. I bring up the world of trading because it's also a very intense, I'd say much more intense situation where, billions are won and lost, right? In moments. Okay. Some of you experienced this directly. So I was walking past one of my bookshelves today and I noticed the title of a book, which I've read a couple times, called Trading in the Zone. And it's a famous book if you're in the trading and, options and futures and doing that sort of thing. And one of the things that the author talks about, in fact, the whole premise of the book, what is the zone? What is getting in the zone? It's a zone of non-attachment. It's a zone of play, right? Where yes, you've done your research. Okay, you think you'd like to purchase or invest in such and such asset, right? And I'm not going to use like trading terms because people will be like, what are you talking about? Okay, but let's say you want to transact business. Okay, in our case here in the Amazon world, yes, you'd like to invest in a product, create some inventory, do a product launch. Okay, but a lot of times with newer traders or sellers or what have you, there's a whole lot of fear and attachment to that. What the author is suggesting is, well, first of all, right, you've got to be able to trust your own research that you've done. And then you've got to go ahead and let that run without constantly overanalyzing and being, so emotional about it. So the zone would be a zone of a bit of play, a bit of flippancy. And of course, I'm paraphrasing a whole book down to just one concept. Can we bring that concept here into our work? Yes, we can. We can. Okay. I have found, however, that a lot of newer sellers, right, newer people in the business space are still quite attached, quite encumbered to all that. I can relate it to the sales world very well. In fact, I do a lot of sales coaching with people I work with in various capacities. And I say the same thing to them. You want to have full intent, 100% intention. Okay. Let's say when you go into a sales conversation or a meeting. Okay. But no attachment. So all intention, no attachment. Right. So if you could get there, right. And that's, again, that takes a bit of mental, preparation. If you can get there, then it's like, hey, I don't need the sale. I mean, I hope for their sake, they go ahead and they participate in the offer. It's a good offer. Okay. But that air of flippancy not only relaxes you, but also relaxes, in the case of the sales meeting, the buyers, the committee, whoever's making the decision, right? It relaxes the decision makers because for a couple of reasons. One is because if they detect that, wow, this is good, this person doesn't need us to participate, they've got lots of other people that are participating in this, well, then maybe we should too, right? So right there's an air of confidence. Okay, that's the main word that we're looking for, is confidence. The other thing that it does is there's an old saying, the best time to make a sale is right after you made a sale, right? The other thing it does, it takes the pressure off that this one, in our case, like say a product launch, okay, this one product has to be the holy grail, right? No, Sophie listed over 140 products in her first year. They weren't all winners. Some were, made a lot of money, okay, but you can't win them all. You can't lose them all either. So what is the answer, I think, to all this? The answer is to have multiple, you guys have heard this term, multiple streams of income, multiple products, okay? And that doesn't mean you're throwing $10,000 or $20,000 at each product, okay? But 1,000 here, 1,500 there, right? So things that you can do to have multiple fronts running at the same time because yes, you're gonna feed the winners, kill the losers. Okay, without attachment to it. I know we talked about this last week that there's sometimes people who they're very emotionally involved with their product idea, their category. Okay, but really the main opinion that we're interested in is that of the marketplace, the person with a credit card in their hand who could give you money. That's the opinion I'm interested in. Your opinion, that's nice. Okay, but that guy with the credit card, that's the opinion we're most interested in. Can you allay some of your own attachment to what you think about it and just go with the research that you've done and do that in multiple fronts? And then let's say you had, 3 winners, 2 losers. Great. Let's scale up those 3. Let's kill those 2. Let's bring in 2 more, and let's do it even better, stronger, and faster. Right. So again, this is on a macro sense, this is a concept that you can take and see how you can employ this into your own expectations, right, moving forward, and actually get things, more done in less time, right? Sort of raising our standards, and at the same time, not having to be, every single thing is going to be a home run, right? I would say imperfect and done beats perfect and not done. I know I've said that before. Okay. But this is, I think, the mindset behind it, right? What allows us to get things done, even though it's not the most spectacular thing that planet Earth has ever seen, which if you could tell me what that is, I'd love access to your crystal ball, because mine's on back order. Okay. I don't know. Sophie's is on back order too. Okay. All we do is we get stuff done and then we scale up what works. So non-attachment, my friends, that is a very therapeutic thing in the trading world, in the sales world, and of course here in e-commerce as well. So I hope that serves you. So now we know how to avoid scams, and we know how to avoid driving ourselves crazy with all this over-analysis stuff. Pete and Christine have your hands up. Pete and Christine.
Hey, hello. How are we all? You all right?
Hey. Oh, look at you. Look at you.
Good stuff. We're celebrating our St. George's Day today.
Oh, look at
St. George. I just wanted to follow on from that, John, what you said about trading. I do like Forex trading myself, which is foreign exchange trading. And we work in currency pairs. So it's like pound dollar, pound yen, pound, euro dollar, et cetera, et cetera. And you've got to, and it is a very similar thing to Amazon selling as well. Obviously, we haven't got on board yet with the Amazon selling. We haven't got, we haven't launched a product yet, but you can't get too passionate about your product. You've got to, and then so the products that win for you, like the trades that win for me, I let them run. I let the trades run, whether I'm buying or selling. So I'll go long if I'm buying, I go short if I'm selling. And then you only trade, I only trade 1% of my capital on any one trade. I won't go any more than that. And then if it's doing well, then yeah, I ride the trend. But if it's not doing so well and it's turning against me, then I ditch it. I cut it off. And I believe that's the same way with this as well. That if we build up to having, however many products it is, whether it be 10, 20, 30, 40, up to 100 products, like Sophie did in her first year. That some of them are going to be winners and some are going to be losers, and you ride the winners and you ditch the losers. That's just the way I see it anyway. So I hope that helps for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you, guys. And yes, the book was Trading in the Zone by Doug Mark Douglas. It's become a classic in the trading circles, because you want to talk about high stress situations, right? So what we just heard here with Pete is a very prudent, right, risk management sort of a thing. Here's 1% of my account that I'm putting at risk, right? And sometimes that's it, right? There's things called stop losses, right? You cut your losses. I'm out. I just lost $1,000 or 10 grand or whatever it was, right? Okay, we'll ride again. Look, there's the other 99% of my account, right? So there's that. I think
Millionaire Mindset talks about that too. He talks about that in his book, Millionaire Mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Talks about, getting over that, not becoming attached and just looking at what you're doing as opposed to becoming attached to it and not being able to let it go.
Right. Very good. Thank you, Heather. Elaine, I think wanted to talk. Is that Elaine? Elaine? No, I see you. You good? Okay. You were unmuted. Thought I'd give you the floor. Anybody else want to talk today?
Yeah, I would like to say something.
Hey, Nida.
Hey, I've had I have had a business for since 2015 that I have. I do taxes. I'm a tax preparer actually, and I've been running my business, you know, in an office and offline and online successfully. But there was one year I remember distinctly that these scammers were had stolen my EIN number with the IRS twice in that same year, and it was just a hassle of the notification through going through the IRS to get a brand new one to be able to actually work, and it was in the middle of tax season, so it was kind of crazy to be, you know, have to deal with that along with, you know, all your clientele that you're moving forward with, and trying to not to, you know, have them feel overwhelmed because they're dealing with a tax preparer who's having all these issues. But that year, according to the IRS, the scams were so high for tax preparers that at least 90% of tax preparers had to change their EIN number that year at least once. And it was horrible. Yeah. I've never had it happen again because the IRS put up some actually double secure walls for tax preparers and people who actually do taxes, because we deal with a lot of people's personal information to prevent these hackers from trying to get your information. And I had one of them was in, he was actually quite close to me. He was in Orlando, had the nerve to call me because I blocked him from being able to have access to my EIN number right away when I found out. Because I had my EIN set up with the IRS where I get notification immediately upon someone else requesting the information from my EIN number with my personal data. He actually had my personal data, so we had to change everything around. And
So he called you to see if he could.
Called
if
me.
you would
Oh
give
yeah,
it-
and very upset because
Wow.
I was like, "Are you crazy?"
Did you
So I
send
gave
him
his
to, like-
number. I gave his number to the IRS, and I wasn't the only one. According to a report that I got from them a few months later, he had done that to maybe 6 other tax preparers agencies. But on one of those agencies, he had racked up on refunds for their client for over $30,000 worth of refunds. So it was just crazy because it affects the tax preparer because they weren't secure enough to be able to keep themselves in the loop. And I work with my support team is the company that actually does the IRS training for their employees and to keep them always on tab. And it's quite expensive to deal with them directly, but their security is very high. So, you know, they tell me they always, every year we go over exactly everything is secure and the notifications, I'm paying close attention to it. And it was just crazy that year. But it was interesting to know that they actually do that. I mean, one thing is that you hear about it, and one thing is when, you know, you hear that this is actually happening to you.
Right.
So,
and in your case, you actually got a phone call from one of these criminal-minded people who wasn't so bright. I actually saw a security cam video of a woman walking into a bank trying to cash a check for, I don't know, $3,000 or something. It was fraudulent. Police were there to arrest her. She apparently had been doing this for some time. She was like, well, can I at least get 1,000 from this check? Like, lady, you go to jail.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah, it's crazy how they behave. And I was like, to me, it was very shocking because he called me upset because I guess he had already set up something with my agency account number. And the fact that I was able to block him, I guess he must have gotten a couple of clients. Because I was able to block him directly with the IRS, none of the refunds would go through. Right. So it was just bizarre. I've never had that. And when he called me, I was like, excuse me? And he knew I was the owner because he knew all my information. So it was really quite weird.
Fascinating. Thank you, Nida, for sharing that experience. Good stuff. I see Carol Ann and Gail are unmuted. Carol Ann?
My bank, when I bring a check, anything like $3,000 or more, if I either want to deposit it or cash it, they first ask me, do I know who the check came from? Did somebody ask me to deposit this or to cash it? And they question me before they will do anything with it. And I think that's a good thing.
Very good. Thank you, Gail. Carol Ann, any comments?
Oh, yeah, I just want to mention that my girlfriend one time, Donna, she had a laptop and it was acting up, but she had the scammer come on and about 3 weeks later, eventually got almost $4,000 out of her to fix her laptop. And I said, Donna, what are you crazy? Just go get another laptop. It wasn't worth getting fixed. But yeah, they scammed her out of all that money. And they said there was some kind of virus or bug in it. And they were trying to get the bug out of it. And she believed them.
Wow.
Felt bad for her, but she never got her money back.
Okay. Well, very good. Thank you all for sharing today. Any burning desires that you need to bring up before we wrap up and get back to work? Everybody good? Okay, great. So then I'm going to go ahead and John Hyder, should I leave this room open? I want John Hyder's opinion on this. Shall I leave the room open?
I just wanted, have you heard anything more about Malcolm? Is he still doing okay?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be in communication with him again at some point this week. Hopefully we can make it,
John.
leave it open. You got it, John. You got it. And tomorrow's Fun Friday, so somebody's got to think of a joke. Think of a funny joke, all right? Hopefully, have fun tomorrow. In the meantime, you guys make it a great day. You absolutely deserve it. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now. For those of you on YouTube, we'll see you here tomorrow. Bye for now.